Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of World Panorama with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha television. Over the next half an hour, we'll bring you a roundup of all the significant events that have taken place around the world this week. But first, a look at the headlines. Billionaire Donald Trump tops opinion polls both among Republicans and against Democrat Hillary Clinton in the run-up to the US presidential election primaries. Strong anti-incumbency factor felt among voters. Germany, France and UK agree to open doors to Syrian migrants, but an undercurrent of non-acceptance and lack of coordination persists in many EU nations as refugees continue to pour in. North and South Koreas agree on dates for a week-long family reunion meet in October, only the second of its kind in 5 years. Hopeful signs of deep distrust easing. And Queen Elizabeth II becomes Britain's longest reigning monarch, surpassing the record held by her great-great-grandmother Queen Victoria. The 89-year-old Queen is hailed as a constant through decades of flux. Let's begin with the top story on World Panorama this week. Early poll surveys ahead of the US presidential primaries show billionaire Donald Trump extending his lead over the Republican presidential field, while Democratic overall frontrunner Hillary Clinton now trails even among hopefuls in her own party. The results so far seem to reinforce an anti-establishment sentiment that's hurting Clinton and aiding Trump and others.
Kanye West, you know what? I'll never say bad about him. You know why? Because he loves Trump. He loves Trump. He goes around saying, Trump is my all-time hero. I get along great with China. I get along great with Japan. I get along great with Mexico. I love the people. But why isn't Germany, they're making, who has a Mercedes-Benz right now? Raise your hand. Rich, look. They're making a fortune. They're a very, very great nation. We will fight hard and we will win. We will win. And most importantly, we will make our country great again.
He doesn't quite come across as US president material, but he's definitely the man of the moment in the Republican nomination race. A CNN ORC poll found Donald Trump has surged to 32% support nationally, becoming the first in the Republican field to top 30% in the race for the White House. Backing for the real estate mogul has tripled since he launched his campaign in June. As per the poll, Trump's nearest competitor in the Republican camp is Ben Carson with 19%. Neither of these men have ever held public office before. And not just among Republicans. A Survey USA poll had Trump ahead of Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton by a 45 to 40% margin. Trump also leads undeclared candidates former Vice President Al Gore and Vice President Joe Biden. Democrat race favorite Hillary Clinton has been in the eye of a storm over using a private email server for official communications, pushing her below fellow party contestant Bernie Sanders in the ratings. However, Clinton says it's early days yet, dismissing Trump's outlook on a gamut of issues as immature and unbecoming.
Let corporations write the rules, destroy labor unions, forget about the fact they helped to create the middle class, and still today protect the rights of people. And of course, we hear from candidates on the other side about turning back the clock on women's rights. And there is one particular candidate who just seems to delight in insulting women every chance he gets. I have to say, if he emerges, I would love to debate him.
5 months to go for actual voting for the primaries. Trump has to hold on to momentum till then and beyond to the presidential debates where he'll be pitted against the Democrats' presidential nominee. It's uphill, but there's no doubt he's making that initial mark. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, joining me for a chat this week to talk about this is Chetan Chauhan of the Hindustan Times. Thank you for joining me on the program, Chetan, and welcome. You know, as far as the race is concerned, clearly, of course, he has surged well ahead. He's surpassed Hillary Clinton as well. And Trump seems to be doing pretty well amongst the Republicans as well, something that no one else has achieved. 32% is his rating at the moment. But realistically speaking, how good are his chances?
It's a long way to go since the primaries get over. He has to get vote from all the provinces in the United States. Because of his outspokenness, the controversies he has generated because of his speeches, he has got a popular vote. But I think it's a long, long way. The junior Bush is also there as one of the candidates. So when it comes to the issues, whether he will be able to deliver or not, or whether his popularity will get down or it will increase, his time will tell. But it's not that he'll be the Republican candidate. It's a long, long way to go.
So why do you say he will not be the Republican candidate? Because at the moment, of course, he's surged well ahead Jeb Bush. He's surged well ahead, Ben Carson as well, who's at 19%.
Yeah, if you see the initial race, because this opinion poll in the US primaries happen every 10 days, 15 days, and you see that there is some surge, some one candidate is surging, other is lagging behind. But Bush have that sort of a vote bank, had that sort of a say in US politics, that they can surge ahead in the last go, as it has happened in the past when his elder brother contested. Initially he was down, then the last part he rose. So they have that sort of a vote bank, they had sort of material, they set of issues on the world politics, on global issues, on America. They have substantial issues. Trump, as of now, has not appeared to be a strong man or have strong views or definite views that can change America on the global issues.
So it's only temporary now is what you're saying. Okay, let's talk about Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton was the front runner a few months ago, but now she seems to be lagging behind, and even in her own party amongst the Democrats, she's not the front runner. So what's really the problem?
The problem was Hillary was two-found. First was the controversy over the money she received, she generated for a campaign. There was conflict of interest. She tried to by side is saying no, there is no controversy. Then this issue of using the private email for official exchanges came. Initially we said no, I didn't do anything official. It was only private conversation. And when the State Department issued and released the mails, then it became clear that she had used it, and it became highly controversial in the US that it was a impropriety on part of her to do it, and then not claim saying that yes, I have done it, I apologize for it. So because of that, a question mark has risen on the integrity of Clinton. And second is, for the 2 terms, Obama has been there. Earlier, her husband, Hillary Clinton, was there, the US president.
Bill Clinton, sorry.
So for a long period, the Clintons have been in power. So the question has been asked in the US, why only Clintons? Why not somebody else? So that is also a question in the US politics that has been raised that is going against her.
Is age also a factor, do you think? Because she's one of the oldest candidates in the fray.
Age, I don't think is such a big factor, because age issue has not been raised by any of the candidates. This is her past record has been raised. Her as a mayor of New York.
No, maybe a young America is not looking forward to a grandmotherly figure to be the president of the country.
That with the primaries, when the voting starts, it will be the view will be there. But if you go to the opinion polls, even in the younger generation, you don't see a percentage very poor for Clinton. It is similar. The elder guys or the senior guys may have voted more for Hillary, but the others have also. But the controversies is her biggest undoing. From the start of her campaign, she has been not able to portray or tell people why she did that. Why the controversy of raising monies, conflict of interest. On all these issues, she has not been able to project that she was clear, there was no doubt on her integrity, and that was her biggest folly.
Would you also think then that anti-incumbency is also a major problem as far as the Democrats are concerned, because Obama has been in power for 2 terms now, and the Republicans have been, bringing out quite a few issues to the fore?
No, anti-incumbency after 8 years, for any party, anti-incumbency is an issue. And the Republicans have been out of power, but in the Senate, they have a mainstay. So they have been raising issues. And people think that 2 terms for Obama. So why not have somebody from Republican? But the Republicans will have to project a strong candidate. I don't think that Trump will trump at last.
Okay, talking about Trump, and also there's Ben Carson as well. What's interesting about both these 2 candidates, Trump at 32 and Ben Carson at 19, is the fact that they've never held public office before. And in spite of that, they seem to be leading at the moment. So is there something to derive from that? Is there something that, people are looking at?
If you see many of the earlier presidents, they never held a high office in the past, but they became presidents. So inexperience does play a role when it comes, but it's not such a big factor. American elections are swayed by emotion, the speech. If you can catch the emotion of people, you can win. These issues that he has not been in office, he has never held any sort of administrative experience of the government. I think they are minor issues in the US president. US president is about America. How can you take America forward? That is a big emotional issue.
So the
integration.
So the final debate then will give us a clear picture, is what you're saying.
And the integration, the biggest issue is the blacks in America. In the last few years, you have seen that there have been conflicts, that there have been crime against blacks, that there have been assaults against them. It is a big issue. Immigration is a big issue. All these issues are big. The people or the leader who can give definite policies on that will win. Obama, why did he win? Because he gave a definite thing to blacks, to immigrants, that I'll do this for you, I'll do this for you, I'll do this for you. And he got the second term because he delivered on many of his promises.
Indeed.
Yeah. So that was his reason. So the vote bank is not only white in US now. Immigrants is a huge population.
It's a mixed vote bank, and indeed, it remains to be seen who's going to be inclusive and take everyone along. Thank you so much, Chetan Chauhan, for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. On that note, of course, we'll slip into a short break, but still to come, construction crane crashes through the ceiling of a grand mosque in Mecca, killing nearly 90. That and much more on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, it's been some relief this week for the thousands of migrants from the Middle East and North Africa pouring into Germany and France. Germany has opened its doors to refugees, promising to spend billions in extra aid for their welfare. Britain and France have also joined in, pledging help for the migrants. But the migrant nightmare is by no means over, and the situation far from sorted out just yet. Thousands continue to pour in, raising concern on the size of the refugee crisis as they struggle to reach the land of their dreams.
By the rail route from Budapest after a prolonged wait there. Over the open land border from Austria, on buses and other transport. They flow in by the hundreds. 20,000 came into Germany over the last weekend, between 1,000 and 2,000 crossover every day since then. Positive vibes emanate from these welcome banners that awaited them. Moved into migrant shelters, a tough journey ends. New beginnings, they hope, await.
When I come to here, I felt like I come to my country. I found the people here very nice people, very mercy people, very goodness people, very, very nice people. No words to say how to thank the people here in Germany.
Austria has agreed to ease off on checks against the migrants. Germany said it would set aside 6 billion euros to boost aid for asylum seekers. There's been an outpouring of support, donations and volunteer efforts. Plans are afoot to make it easier to build refugee housing and for non-German speakers to hold jobs. Given its dark history, Germany looks to project an image of a special obligation to help the refugees.
Denn was wir jetzt erleben, das ist etwas, was unser Land schon in den nächsten Jahren auch weiter beschäftigen wird, verändern wird, und wir wollen, dass es sich zum Positiven verändert, und wir glauben, das können wir schaffen.
At least two other big European powers, France and Britain, have agreed to join in refugee support efforts, overcoming the initial reluctance.
La France, elle est disposée à prendre sa part. La Commission européenne propose ou va proposer de répartir 120 000 réfugiés sur les 2 prochaines années, ce qui représentera pour la France 24 000 personnes.
But given the scale of the crisis and the suffering of the Syrian people, it is right that we should do much more. So, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing that Britain should resettle up to 20,000 Syrian refugees over the rest of this Parliament.
These are the images that created a wave of sympathy for the migrants, for the horrors they are going through. The dead body of the toddler washed ashore, the 71 migrants suffocated to death in a truck found on an Austrian highway. These struck a poignant chord. The crisis remains huge, both in terms of the numbers who have made it and those still on the tough road. Germany expects to take in some 8 lakh migrants, nearly 10% of its population. 3.8 lakh migrants have arrived in Europe by sea this year. Just about 2.5 lakh have arrived in Greece. 2,760 migrants have been killed during the journey either on sea or on land. But are things actually getting easier for the migrants? The Hungarian Prime Minister scoffed at a proposed quota system for refugees in the 28-member European Union, saying it wouldn't work unless Europe first secured its own borders. Checks on movement of migrants through the Serbian border into Hungary persist. Germany, the United Nations and others have appealed for more nations accepting the migrant influx and better EU coordination on the issue.
We need more and more countries to say that they will participate in a relocation scheme. We think that the Europe crisis can only be managed if there are reception, registration centers established in these receiving countries like Greece and Italy and Hungary, run by the EU, supported by UNHCR and IOM. And those can only work if there is a guaranteed relocation system whereby European countries are saying, yes, I will take X number.
Many have termed the migrant influx the biggest challenge Europe has faced since the Kosovo War of late 1990s, with hopes of the ripples settling still nowhere in sight. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, the United States has decided to step in on the Syrian refugees issue too. US President Barack Obama has directed his administration to take in at least 10,000 people fleeing the conflict in Syria over the next year. US Secretary of State John Kerry told members of Congress on Wednesday that the number of refugees accepted by the US could rise to 100,000 from 70,000 a year. His officials said not all the additional refugees would be Syrians. Now, the US has come under fire for not doing more to alleviate the humanitarian crisis caused by the conflict that has sent tens of thousands of Syrian migrants fleeing to Europe. Since the start of the Syrian civil war in 2011, the US has taken in 1,500 refugees, with 300 more expected to be cleared by October. Well, let's take a look now at some other events that made headlines around the world this week in Globe Watch.
North and South Korea have agreed to hold a reunion for families separated by the Korean War between October 20th and 26th in North Korea's Mount Kumgang resort. This reunion will be only the second to be held in 5 years. According to the agreement, 100 people will be selected by each side to take part in the week-long event. The effort to organize a reunion was the product of an accord the two Koreas reached 2 weeks ago to end a dangerous military standoff and reduce cross-border tensions. At least 87 people were killed at Mecca's Grand Mosque on Friday after a part of a crane crashed through the ceiling of the building. At least 154 people are reported injured. The accident comes just weeks before the Hajj pilgrimage. Reports said the crane had fallen because of strong storms that have hit West Saudi Arabia over the last few days. The pilgrimage, that is one of the largest religious gatherings in the world, has been prone to disasters in the past, mainly from stampedes. Islamic State jihadists edged closer to a strategic government-held airbase in eastern Syria, detonating at least 2 car bombs near the city of Deir al-Zor, where government troops are holed up. Reports say at least 18 Syrian soldiers and 23 IS fighters had been killing in fighting. This is said to be the Islamic State's fiercest attack on the airport. After more than 4 years of war, Assad Sway is now mostly confined to the cities of western Syria. Singapore's governing People's Action Party has won a decisive victory in the general election, for which polling was held on Friday. PAP secured 83 out of 89 seats, winning nearly 70% of the ballots cast, a marked improvement over the 2011 vote when its vote share fell to 60%. The party has won every election since Singapore's independence in 1965. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, the eldest son of PAP founder Lee Kuan Yew, said he was humbled by the result. The elections department said the turnout was 93.56% among 2.46 million voters. North Japan is in the grip of worst floods the country has seen in more than 60 years. Close to 1 lakh people have been displaced as the Kinugawa River became the second major water body to flood its bank due to incessant rain. Hundreds remain stranded. Reports say 3 people have been killed and 23 are missing. On Thursday, the river Kinu burst its bank in Joso City in Ibaraki Prefecture, washing away houses, sometimes with their owners still inside.
Moving on now, Queen Elizabeth II this week became Britain's longest reigning monarch in the 1,000 years of its history, surpassing the record held by Queen Victoria. The landmark draws focus to her quiet yet strong stabilizing influence on this monarchy and world affairs through decades of massive flux. On the occasion, the United Kingdom hailed the Queen's dignified grace and poise, upholding the deep-rooted grandeur of her position.
London's iconic Big Ben chimes to mark the moment that Queen Elizabeth II sealed a special place in Britain's history as its longest reigning monarch. All of the United Kingdom coming together in celebration, holding up once again the grand pageantry that's been so typical of British royalty down the decades and centuries. February 26, 1952, a little more than 63 years and 216 days on the throne, surpassing her great-great-grandmother Queen Victoria's record. Queen Elizabeth was 25 then, she's 89 now, also Britain's oldest monarch. A world dignitary who has earned massive respect down the years for herself and for the institution of the British monarchy.
As a figurehead, I think she is probably the biggest and best followed figurehead in the world.
I think it's a symbol for the whole monarchy. I think it's amazing. She is someone who's been here for so long. I think she shows pride in her country and her people, and she does an amazing job.
Not surprisingly, the Queen herself said she saw little reason for special celebration. She inaugurated a steam locomotive train in Scotland, making only a minor mention of the other occasion.
Inevitably, a long life can pass by many milestones. My own is no exception. But I thank you all, and the many others at home and overseas, for your touching messages of great kindness.
Through these decades, Queen Elizabeth has reigned through some tough times and controversies for the monarchy and world affairs. Through the Cold War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the transition from the British Empire to the Commonwealth. Throughout, she has retained an aura as a rock of stability and mature poise in a world of constant change.
In 63 years and 216 days, she's worked with 12 Prime Ministers, 6 Archbishops of Canterbury, 9 Cabinet Secretaries. She's answered 3.5 million pieces of correspondence, sent over 100,000 telegrams to centenarians across the Commonwealth, and met more people than any other monarch in history.
Kensington Palace is holding a special display commemorating the reigns of Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth II. Multimedia exhibits show contrasting images of the two monarchs through their lives, their weddings, a mutual love for animals, and more. Another is changing times, changing technologies, from the telegraph to the tweet. This is Buckingham Palace's official photograph of the day the Queen made history, working on the red box through which she answers official mails. A realistic depiction of a monarch for whom it's been duty above all else. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, let's shift focus now and bring you up to speed with some big events from sporting arenas around the world this week in our segment Sports Action. American sprinter Justin Gatlin has said that he believes he is steadily catching up with Olympic and world champion Usain Bolt. Both Gatlin and Bolt head into a likely race-off at the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro next year. Gatlin was unbeaten at 100 and 200 meters in 2015 until he faced an out-of-form Bolt going into the World Championships in Beijing last month. However, Bolt won the 100-meter final in 9.79 seconds, just 1/100th of a second ahead of Gatlin, before securing gold in the 200 meters in more convincing fashion. Wayne Rooney broke a record that has stood for 45 years when he converted a late penalty against Switzerland on Tuesday night to become England's leading scorer with 50 goals. The 29-year-old Manchester United striker overtook Sir Bobby Charlton's mark of 49 goals. Rooney earned his 107th cap on Tuesday, having made his debut as a 17-year-old in 2003. He scored his first goal against Macedonia later that year. Floyd Mayweather has denied he broke any rules by having an infusion of saline and vitamins on the eve of his super fight with Manny Pacquiao. A report claims Mayweather was given an IV drip ahead of the May 2nd bout and had received favourable treatment from the US anti-doping agency. USADA countered in a statement that the report was riddled with significant inaccuracies and misinterpretations. Mayweather said that he followed the rules of Nevada and USADA, the gold standard of drug testing. Australian wicketkeeper batsman Brad Haddin announced his retirement from international cricket on Wednesday after a stellar career. Vice captain of the Test team for much of the last 2 years, the 37-year-old will continue to play only T20 cricket for the Sydney Sixers. Haddin played 66 tests but had to wait until he was 30 to win his first test cap following the retirement of Adam Gilchrist. Only 3 Australian wicket-keepers played more tests than Haddin: Ian Healy, Adam Gilchrist and Rod Marsh. Bracing up for what promises to be an exhausting cricket tour of India, South Africa named 3 specialist spinners in their test squad for the 4-match Mahatma Gandhi Nelson Mandela series. Both Imran Tahir and Dane Pite returned to the squad to join incumbent Simon Harmer for a 3-pronged spin attack. Hashim Amla will be in charge of the test team, with Dane Villas retained as the wicketkeeper for the longer format. The first test will be held in Mohali from November 5th to 9th. And finally, the biggest fashion designers and models, the most exclusive fashion brands and the top stars from Bollywood are making appearances at the ongoing New York Fashion Week. I'll leave you today with some of the event's biggest shows. That's it from me. See you again next time.